We call this Facilities and Finance Subcommittee to order at 4 p.m. on February 6, 2025. Can I get a roll call, please?
William Mays.
Alex Dulce, for the best of the morning.
Kai Nguyen.
Eric Saki.
Yolanda McCauley.
And Lester Mascon. Do we have any public comment? No? Okay. With that, I will turn it over to Mr. Kai Wen for an update to the cost control deficit spending proposal.
Oh, thank you very much. The last time we met, the subcommittee was asking about how much we gave out any on schedule and off schedule for the last 5 years. So I have that document information for you. So I'll pass that out for everyone here.
So this will be a forecast for the next 3 years based on historicals, right?
This is the forecast of what we've done in the past.
Okay.
And then at the next meeting, we'll do a multi-year projection for 5 years out.
Okay.
Right. And based on what the governor's proposing, he's reducing the cost of living adjustment for 25-26 from 2.87 to 2.48. So it's a little bit smaller. However, that may change when the May revision comes out.
Okay.
And then on top of that, the enacted budget. But the second year out, he's gonna kind of offset that by giving a bigger COLA, a little bit over 3%.
He's already stated that?
That's what he's projecting, proposing. But again, it's different from every year to year. So we'll know for sure that in June, late June, when the enacted budget comes in, he will let us know what the COLA will be for 25-26. And that would be enacted, so nothing can be changed that.
Okay.
And then, so we can only project what is the government proposing for the outer years, but we need to focus really for the current year and the next year, because that will be fixed cost of living adjustment.
Yeah.
But the 2 outer years out is just an estimate. And again, and I'll explain that a little bit more when I present the second interim next month in March.
I think what we're hoping to see on this one, so I mean, if you take everything you know,
Yes.
and you were to look at our expenses that you captured for the 23-24 school year.
Correct.
We know we have increases in costs. We can look back historically to know we know what those costs have increased historically. We've got probably 30 years of data we could play with to give us some idea, but we can at least go back 5 if you wanted to. So project forward from the past and do the same thing with every line item, whether it's whether it's the raises with the COLA, everything. Like, let's just do a true forecast using all historical numbers as we understand them today.
Correct. So let me hand you what I have. Have some more.
And it's really considered a rolling forecast, right? Because you update.
Yeah, this
as
is
you get a new year of data, you update.
correct. And this is the past, and this is comparable to what other district has given in the past. For the 23, 24, and 22, 23, it's comparable. But if you look at the 20, 21, 21, 22, we didn't give as much as compared to
Other districts.
Thank you. So, but the 20, 22, 23, and 23, 24 was comparable.
What did we have in? Do we know what the COLA was in those years as well?
I do. I can run and get it for you. And
I wouldn't get it right this second,
Okay.
but it'd be nice to see this, knowing what the COLA was
Definitely.
in those years as well.
Definitely, I can pull that up. Yeah. And at the next board meeting, not next board meeting, but the next subcommittee, will present what will be like for the next 3, 4, and if you like 5, I can do that too.
Yeah, I mean, I think 3 years is probably 5 years. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
But it's just nice to have an idea,
Yeah,
at
definitely.
least what you think, but 3 years are probably, and really honestly, it should be formulaic at that point. Like once you set, all you have to do is figure out your average increase on everything,
Mhm.
or where your average cost sits at, and then you can just project out those increases year over year on every single line item, and you can run it out 20 years if you wanted to, it wouldn't matter.
Right. Okay.
But I think what we're trying to point out when it comes to facilities and finance is that obviously our employee costs, health and welfare costs, and all those things are being increased faster than what our COLA is coming at us with, right?
That's absolutely correct.
So that means we have to find savings elsewhere. So technology is your friend. You know, how are we going to improve facilities? How do we reduce our cost all the way around? So there has to be a plan to mitigate. You know, we can't just keep dipping into our reserves to be able to fund this. There has to be a path forward. If not, it's just a long-term recipe for failure. So I think that's the thing we're trying to bring awareness to by putting this forecast together and all that.
Yes, definitely. Okay.
Now, Mr. Mascone is mentioning forecasting, correct?
Yes.
So could you share, just because we record these, they're uploaded to the website, if anybody wants to refer back, from the business office, we have our multi-year projections, a multi-year projection presentation with our trustees. Can you just share very briefly, what are the components of the multi-year projection? What do you cover? What do you present?
So we include what our enrollment looks like, our average daily attendance, our unduplicate people percentage, the step-in column, because every employee gets a step-in column unless they maxed out their last year. Then the only raise that they will get, the employees that have been here for 10, 15, 20 years, then it's based on the negotiation settlement.
And the beauty of those items is they're known to us. Like we know these things are coming at us already.
Correct.
Like when it comes to the step and column. So that makes it easy to forecast those items.
Yes. And in the multi-year projection that the first interim that was I presented, it included the step and column. It included what the cost of living adjustments, what the governor proposed, and then what is actual, which is 1.07% for this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, cool. And, but yeah, we'll do a multi-year for the next board meeting, next subcommittee.
Very good.
Thank you, Kai.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Nguyen. Next, we have the options for backup power, which is Mr. Nguyen and Mr. Mora.
Yes. So I know that last time we met again, there were inquiries in regards to what would it cost to tie our existing solar panel to our school site buildings, because we're getting a lot of power outages, right? And we spoke with Luminous, the solar company that installed the solar panels. And the gentleman, Alex Smith, said that it would cost millions of dollars. He asked me do you have a general obligation bond, or do you have a certificate of participation, which is a COP? Obviously, we don't have neither of those. And what we would need to have is a Tesla power cell or a Generac power cell. So that way they would have to retrofit the solar panel. Instead of going directly to the grid, they're gonna tie another route to the battery cell to charge it up for any excess power, and then tie the buildings or the classrooms or the IDFs or MDFs and the cafeteria, and it all depends on how much you want to tie in, and obviously the number of loads, and with all the HVAC going, that may last you a day, or if you go ahead.
That doesn't seem, the power cell doesn't seem like the right way to go. The generator would be.
Yes.
Not sure you're getting to that. But.
Yes. So make a long story short, the gentleman said that he can create a budget for us, not budget, a quote for us to present to our subcommittee. How much would that cost? but he said that it may take him a month. And the subcommittee also asked about how much of a savings have we done so far
Right.
in regards to putting all these, the purchase power agreement, where we purchased the electricity or the power from Luminous, right? He said that he's gonna have to work on that. It's gonna take him a month or two to generate that report for us. So we'll get back to you. I gotta keep on reaching out to him for that.
Do you think we could have him in to kind of present some of this stuff to us? Cause I know with solar, I mean, at least the way it works in my own house, you really aren't trying to have enough battery power to run the whole school.
Right.
And you have an E-panel
Yeah.
where only your primary circuits go,
Right.
but the whole purpose of the battery system is to wake up your grid, wake up the solar system. Cause you'll run on your solar power throughout the entire day. So you're really not trying to put enough battery there to run the
Yeah,
school
you don't
for
need-
multiple days.
You
It's
don't
just,
need HVAC systems. I mean, you should,
yeah,
because
you
it's,
separate you have your critical circuits
Mhm.
only.
Right, and that's where the retrofit comes in. What do you want to tie?
right,
Um,
what circuits are going into.
correct.
Do we look at it, a Generac or any kind of,
Yes, so we looked into that as well, and this is a quote that I received for a Blue Star. It costs about $95,000 for a above ground diesel generator,
Mhm.
and it's a 140 gallon diesel generator,
Mhm.
and it will include an island so that we can put the generator on top of it. And again, it all depends on the load and what do we want to tie into. At my previous district, we put it for the walk-in freezer, a generator by itself, just for the freezer itself, in the event if there's power outages.
right,
I think holds up. Other districts, they would just tie the IT server room and then the MDF to IDF, so that way the internet can keep on running.
right,
Obviously, if we put a generator here, we would like to put a generator at the school site.
right.
And we gotta look at which equipment, offices, classrooms that are important to keep them up and running. So obviously, it would be the IDF, the MDF to keep up and running, because, correct,
Yeah. IDF, MDF, the emergency circuits, so
Yeah.
emergency lighting circuits,
correct.
fire alarm systems.
Yeah.
So those will be the most important, and you could keep the school running with those systems in place.
Yeah, good point, very good point. Yeah, and if it's that type of load, it may last us for a couple of days. But if we start adding classrooms and stuff, then it may be.
Depletes.
Well, if it's,
Thank you, yes.
right, but if it's a diesel generator, then there's filling services that come out and fill you up and whatever, so it's not.
And then, Kai, you do have some proposals or some quotes for diesel generators?
Yes.
Yeah, that's-
Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Sargent.
I mean,
should've
honestly,
given
this
it to
is
you. There you
much
go.
less.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it actually seems almost
Thank you.
reasonable.
Yeah.
It's a pretty reasonable number.
Yeah,
This is just for Vasquez?
it's just for one site,
It'll run this specifically for, I mean, look, where's our problem is Vasquez, right?
That's good.
correct.
Ernesto, is this
When you got this, it was just for a cafeteria, right?
It was
wasn't
for.
a campus?
It was for an IT, but a diesel above ground generator like that, it will hold quite a bit. Again, it all depends on.
It's
the-
30K.
30K, that's a
lot.
big generator.
Start a certain, it wouldn't light up the whole campus.
But now we're not asking for that, we're asking for emergency circuits.
Mhm.
Everything we just
It
talked
would
about.
definitely
They'll
work
do
for-
that.
For the
I mean,
most
no.
important things, it would.
You're not gonna get
No.
HVAC
You
systems,
won't have the
but you don't need,
heaters,
you
just
need-
lights and refrigerators and.
right, you need what it's gonna take to keep the school up and running.
And then to go back to Mr. Mescon's question was, yeah, for Vasquez only, right? In terms of the occurrences, clearly it was Vasquez, for the month of January. But, I know you have the historical perspective, Mr. Mora, but in terms of the other sites, when there is a predetermined shut off from Edison, is it typically Vasquez, historically
Vasquez gets-
speaking?
They get hit the most because of where they're at.
I mean, I think besides Vasquez, I think with the main kitchen, being in high desert, you
Mhm.
should have some kind of backup system there too, because
Good point.
you don't want to lose.
Yes.
Yeah, food services was a concern.
Yeah.
With the high
Yeah.
desert outage that one day.
Right.
Or half day.
That's the one that
You think
have
we could get a more
locked in.
complete quote on this?
Or multiple.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't all have to happen in the same year either. I mean, it's stuff you could do one per
One,
year.
yeah. But if we can get a couple quotes.
Sure, definitely. But that, that's an investment that the subcommittee would like to.
For sure. I mean, I think.
I mean, that's a reasonable number, I think, for if we can cover, if we can eliminate the issue at Vasquez,
Yeah, if we can keep.
it
the-
seems like a pretty reasonable
If we can
number.
keep the school up and running, it's huge.
Okay.
Eric, you have a thought on that or?
No, I think it's critical, and just based on the fact that VHS is the one being hit the most.
Yeah,
This is a long-term solution. So, and then it could be tiered in terms of which sites, which year.
yeah, based on historical impact, you just go one per year based on, put them in order of historical impact and go from there. I would love to ask your solar guy though, there is grant money available for adding battery systems to create storage. It's called the Self-Generation Incentive Program, and it's money that's been put up aside just for this sort of thing.
Self-generation right now?
Incentive program. If you go on Edison's website, there's a link to it and you can see that for schools and for critical infrastructure like that, there's, and if you already have a solar system in place, there's grant money that'll pay for the entire battery system. I mean, look at half the homeowners out here in Acton got it. I mean, they did it at my house. I got the S-chip grant because I had my own solar system already.
Oh, I forgot one more thing. He mentioned to me that about the 52 school district that installed solar panels, after they heard about the cost involved, no district has gone through the retrofit of putting a power cell. Just but I like your idea. We'll definitely look into the self-generation incentive program from Southern
If that would cover us, then obviously if there's grant money available to do it, then we might as well use it.
Yes, I think that's a great idea.
But and I think the generator is probably,
Yeah.
that's a very reasonable option. And even if it was wire us up for self-generation and then let us rent the generator in times of need, or whenever we get, because you get a pre-warning, right?
Yes.
Edison always
Yeah,
sends a
yeah.
warning out,
Oh,
this
yeah,
might
typically a couple
happen.
days
Right.
before.
If you're renting a generator that's here at the district, and if Vasquez goes out, you take it to Vasquez, or if it turns out that only Metal Arc went out, you take it over there. I mean, you know what I mean? You
So
could,
it's a lot.
I don't know. What you
The
think.
trailerable generators have a lot more regulations and things. Because
That's true.
the generator needs to be tested once a year by AQMD. There's a lot of different regulations. So if you have a trailerable one, I don't know where that puts you. Plus, you're on a trailerable one, you're using blown cords and not stable or secured wires that are trip hazards and
Okay.
have potentials for issues. So it's better to be fixed in and
Makes
have
sense.
everything right.
What about, we have natural gas at Vasquez?
Yes, we do.
So
Why
we
wouldn't
can
we do natural gas
yeah.
generators?
Natural gas generators, generally, if it's the wattage goes down on generation, but if you're going this high, it shouldn't be as big of a deal.
It'd be interesting to see both ways, but that way you're not dealing.
You're not
with
dealing with filling.
You have to have a fueling service, fuel stabilizer and all those things.
Probably be it's not too much line going into that, I think.
Yeah. Maybe it could be.
So you have to put it kind of close to the main.
Just be interesting to see what the
Oh, for
options
sure.
are. Yeah.
All right.
There's a couple options,
Yeah.
there's even propane ones out there too.
Yeah.
So we could bring this back at maybe the March meeting, information about the cost differential between diesel and the others.
Yes, you can.
And then, and just to reiterate and summarize, the representative from Luminous, I think you said his name was Alex. If we could get him for maybe the March meeting or even April, So he could kind of go over the cost savings report that he puts together. As well as there was another piece.
Only if he thought we would qualify for the grant.
Yeah, and that too.
Right.
If we don't qualify for the grant, there's no reason having him set the battery option.
Would you like him to be present or just probably Zoom?
Zoom's fine.
Zoom.
Sure.
Yeah. Correct.
I think it was pretty impactful to the community that Vasquez was
Yeah.
disrupted so much.
It was.
Okay. Yeah.
I think if that's the cost right there to do something about it, then that's kind of reasonable, to be honest.
Okay.
If we can keep the place up and running and working from that perspective. And obviously, you pull all the ACs off that loop, that they don't,
Right.
they wouldn't be part of the backup. You might be able to do heat because you're using natural gas, so heat wouldn't be a problem,
Yeah,
but
it's not heat pump. It's not.
No.
yeah, not heat pump, right? You're all natural gas?
It's not
They're
your gas.
connected to the guys who are not heat pumps.
Right,
Yeah.
so it's a
Yeah,
lot less
so-
energy usage.
Mhm.
Not much energy involved with running
Yeah.
a furnace.
The fans, kick on.
Yeah,
Well, this quote was just for the IT server room, but it may go up a little bit more if we're gonna
Well,
add more
It'll definitely go some, but
buildings
but-
and stuff.
30 kW is a lot.
that's a lot of power.
Yeah,
You can run your IT rooms off of probably 5 or less. These generators probably don't come in much smaller than 30 though, to be honest, for the big school site ones. That's probably their smallest generator.
good thing if it's just the IT server room, depending on the number of equipment they're in there, it can last for days.
Yeah, your battery systems in there are probably
Yeah.
pretty good.
We do have UPS backups in there.
Yeah.
But they're like 45 minutes, bro.
Gives you time to gracefully shut things down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
Just to safeguard the equipment.
Get a hard drive light flashing last time I was in the IT room over at Vasquez.
Only needs one more to completely go down.
Depends what your rate configuration is. Okay, thank you very much. Anything else anybody wants to add on that? No? All right, Community Needs Facilities Survey Review of Draft Survey. Mr. Kai Wen, Mr. Moore, again, you guys are, it's all about you guys.
Well, at the last meeting, a couple of meetings ago, we talked about surveying our community based on facilities, the schools, what's going well, what are some of the challenges, what are some of the needs. The previous subcommittee meeting a couple of weeks ago, there was a sample draft, but between that time and today, the team funneled down the original draft survey to what you have in front of you, with an introduction to the community members of the why we're surveying, an overall assessment of our facilities. We tried to make it as easy and convenient as possible. Alex, for the sake of IT and that efficiency, I did this on the Google form, Google survey. So, multiple choice. We go into, prioritizing improvements at your school sites. What are priorities? Examples are renovating play fields, equipment, restrooms, drop off, pickup areas, and the like. So I'm not going to go through each page. And then towards the end,
We can make sure it's available on community members to download it.
oh yeah.
Since we're reviewing it now, as long as it's attached to this meeting.
Mhm. And then towards the end, there are concluding questions. And then an open-ended question for them to provide additional feedback. That's optional. Name is of course optional. We don't require that. Emails are optional. And then put this together, and the committee here could then take a look at it and decide for the results.
Some of these items seem to really be about condition of buildings, like prioritize refreshing exteriors, repair, paint, etc. Maybe we could drop some of those off that are already kind of covered in the other items.
Yeah, this is a draft again. This is
Yeah.
not a final version, so it's really for the committee to kind of go through, pick apart, so that we can narrow it down to a final version. That's all.
think this is great.
Mhm.
Yeah, the only thing I would say that there's some overlap between the prioritization stuff and then people rating the conditions of the buildings and facilities, and maybe we could.
How are we planning on getting this, distributing this out, and who's it going to?
The mastermind right there, Mr. Alex and IT.
We have multiple options, so we can send a mass email, to all the families and community members, and we can post it on our website too. It can be uploaded on our website as well.
Additionally, if we could reduce the prioritization down to less than 10, I think that would be better to have it. We have a lot more direction from it if we can reduce it to.
Sure.
A smaller number.
So we have then the email addresses of all the community members. Well, yes, we have the school members.
We can share with our contacts, our liaisons with the Acton Town Council, Acton Women's Club,
Correct.
Agua Dulce Women's Club.
Mhm.
So-
Good
And
point.
they'll add it to their agendas.
Right. Okay.
So we'll try to saturate as much as possible and then give a window of time so it's not open-ended, and then we give maybe 2 weeks. And then bring back the results here.
Yeah, and let's so we can consolidate some things.
Yeah, I mean that.
Get rid of some stuff that just
Mhm.
kind of falls under some of the other questions in the first part, and then I think 10 like 10 options, probably a good,
Poll?
yeah, for the poll. Reduce, it's 20, it's 22 options right now, so. Or it's 20 options.
30?
Well, the questions start on number 11.
Yeah,
So
so
you're
I
saying-
think, yeah, these pages are numbered,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
Mr. Mascone, you're mentioning the prioritization, right? of
Yeah, the
improvements?
prioritization.
It's just a
So
priority.
we can narrow those down to 10 items.
Yeah.
Got
And
it.
then sift through the entire survey to take a look at, those
Any
questions that
overlap.
were replicated and duplicated. Okay. So then we can work on that and bring that back to the March meeting.
That'd be fantastic.
Mhm.
Thank you very much. That's good. It's good work. It looks good. Curious to see what the feedback is.
Right.
Ernesto's gonna be sitting on pins and needles about this survey results, right?
So I think one of the outstanding items, just to bring up a non-agenda item, but maybe we talk about it now or we add it to the next, but the plan and the budget we created for renovating the 3 classrooms.
Yes.
I think the purpose is still gonna be sitting out there. That's yet to be, our counterparts over at the education committee can discuss that with everyone, but I think that for our job with facilities, we should move forward with getting the classrooms,
Start getting them ready.
getting them ready. So Bill, I think if you could, at the next meeting, if you could propose agendizing that,
Sure.
so that we can get that on the agenda for
March 27th.
March
will be the
27th.
next meeting.
get that, just recommend that we put that on the agenda for approval or for consideration for that meeting
So proposed to add classroom.
renovation. What was the budget on that? We were trying to remember what it was. I think it was like 150, I thought.
It wasn't that much.
No, it was
I
less
think it
than
was, wasn't it 50?
Yeah, no more than 50.
50,000 around there.
50, 60? And then,
Give yourself room to do it right.
based on the committee's recommendation by Mr. Mays on Thursday, the 13th, then we could agendize it for the 27th. We could have the proposal there as an attachment for that agenda, right? Very good.
Well, it sounds like we already got our next meeting set for all the things we want to cover. So that'll be good. All right. Anybody have anything else they want to discuss? Any other future agenda items we want to get out there? No? All right. We did, I'll throw one last thing on there for the next agenda. We did talk about doing a software review
Software review, yes.
and seeing what our current spend was
Mhm.
and what cuts could be made for things that are not being utilized. I know we spend a lot of recurring software fees, a lot of programs that we're maintaining.
Right. Yeah, a lot of this, online applications for student use. I don't know.
Yeah, they were bought with all good purpose at one point, and they might have been purchased as part of a grant or something like that, but we need to
Somehow.
make sure they're all being utilized. I mean, look, even if it's grant money and it's not necessarily off of our budget, if it's not being utilized and no one's making good use of it, we either need to have a plan to utilize it, or we need to probably stop using it, or just stop it altogether.
And it's a great discussion point, whatever we actually assess from that report of the why, we get information back that staff is not being necessarily trained on a certain platform, or there's no ongoing training, and that's why it's now obsolete. And it's something for the internal staff to then think about and of how we move forward with these types of platforms and training. Just an example.
There's a ton of platforms over at Vasquez that we've put in place recently. Check-ins and all those things that are going on.
We'll have it as a future agenda item.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
no problem.
Again, just to reiterate, we know our costs are going up and our COLA is not. So we've got to find areas where we can be smarter with our money.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We adjourn this meeting at 4:32 p.m. February 6th. Thank you, everyone.